Welcome to True North Nation. This was brought to you by Solid Rock Church in Irving, Texas, where we bring you true direction in a lost world. Now let's hear it from our host, Pastor Ed Snyder.
And we're back again for another great episode here at the True North Nation podcast, episode number 72, How the Beast Works. We're going to get into some good content here today, and I'm excited about you being with us. So grab something to take some notes with, get a cup of coffee. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. And again, it is so good to be back with you, our loyal listeners out there that are saying so many great things about the True North Nation podcast. Thank you for all that have purchased the copy of the book, Control the Beast. I pray that you are enjoying it. I pray that it is a blessing to you as you read through it, or you may have bought it for someone else, a loved one, a family, a friend. Again, I pray that God uses that to bless them and help them become better. That is one of my utmost desires, is to help people become better people. That's why I feel like God called me into ministry, why I pastor churches, and of course, church now, one church here in the Irving, Texas area, Dallas area. And that's why I'm here today. That's why I want to share some more thought with you on our series, Control the Beast. Today, we're going to be looking at how the beast works, the mechanics of emotions. One of the things that I've learned a long time ago is that we really can't fix something until we understand something. Power of Understanding, episode number 70, or chapter 1 of the book. We have to understand the why, the what for, the how come, all of that. And the power of understanding is a very potent thing. It's very strong. It's very powerful. Again, when we have understanding, it brings clarity. Okay. So when we understand how something works, what a mechanic has to learn how the engine works before the mechanic can fix the engine. All the combustible parts and the injectors and all of that. He's got to get he or she's got to get a working knowledge in their mind of how that motor works so that they can do a diagnostic, so they can figure out first what's wrong and then go in and fix. Our emotions, folks, are not that much different. We've got to figure out or understand or get a knowledge of how the mechanics of emotions or how they work. Now, in our discussion, in times past, we've asked the question, what are emotions? If I ask that, I'm asking you today, while you're listening here to this podcast, to this episode, what are emotions? And of course, everybody like, come on. It's feelings. Okay, that's very true. Emotions are feelings, but it's deeper than that. Emotions are the psychological vehicles by which humans communicate and interrelate with one another. We can speak volumes and not say one word. We can say a whole lot just with the display of an emotion or several emotions. And so when we grab a hold of that concept, that emotions are more than just feelings, it's the way we communicate. It's the way we interrelate. Webster defines emotions as an affective aspect of consciousness, feelings, or a psychic or physical reaction, such as anger or fear, subjectively experienced by strong feelings and physical changes that involves us getting ready for one thing, fight or flight. We're getting ready for a vigorous reaction either way, that when we figure out I can't survive this, I got to get out of here, and we run. Or I can do this, and we fight. So emotions, understanding emotions or how the beast works is really a combination of elements going on at the same time. They combine mental, psychic, and physical components. They're controlled by the internal mechanism, okay, psychologically, which a person readies for that reaction. And as I mentioned, fight or flight. The reaction happens whether the danger is real or perceived. Now, I want to talk about that for a minute, because so many times people look at other people and say, why did you do that? Why did you say that? That's not true. Couples or friends or whatever gets in arguments because one feels this, and that's not what it really is. Here's the fact. The fact is, whether it's real or perceived, the emotion is just as powerful. That's what we need to understand. When we need to understand that with ourselves when we walk through that valley, or we're the person to say, why are you reacting like that? We need to understand that their feelings are strong and they're just as real as if the situation was real when it's not. Okay, let me give you, for instance, let's say you're walking down a dimly lit street in a neighborhood, doesn't really look good, haven't been there, not familiar with it, and you're already concerned. But because you've never been on that block, we're like, okay, I got to get to the other side here. I got to get to my car or wherever. And so we walk past a dark alley. Heart starts pumping. The face gets a little flush. Maybe we step up a little faster in our pace. And when we walk across the opening of the alley, we hear a noise. We hear some rattling. Suddenly, we're overcome with fear, and we either are paralyzed, where we stand there in shock, or we run. And so that emotion is there. Well, later we found out it wasn't really nothing. It was a cat that knocked over a can and made the noise. Now, let's rewind. We're walking down the same street in the same situation with the dimly lit, not really knowing the neighborhood. We come up on this alley that is dark. We walk across the opening of the alley, and a dude jumps out with a .357 Magnum and points it straight in your face and says, "Give me everything you got." We're paralyzed with fear, and it's very real. Why? Because we have the fact that a gun barrel is staring us in the face. That's real. Okay. That's genuine fear. But here the point is, it doesn't matter, real or perceived. The emotion is just as strong. Now, another thing that we need to really grasp hold of is emotions are considered universal. It doesn't matter what part of the world we live in, the language that we speak. Emotions are a same across the board in humans. Happy is still happy in Asia, or as it is in Central America, or as it is in Germany. And on the other side of the equation, so is negative emotions. So is fear and anxiety and depression and anger. Sometimes it operates now at different levels with different people. Their different personalities. No one, or not just one or two emotions, but all of them. So here's the deal. Here's where I'm getting to. Some people say that person is just emotionalist. There is no such thing. That is a myth. Okay. Some people's feelings are more developed than others. They can express themselves more freely than others, but they're operating in what is considered normal range. They just don't express it like others. So if you hear that, see that, or experience that person that's loud and very expressive, yeah, that's there's no question in your mind what they're feeling at the moment because they're expressing it. But that very quiet, reserved, shy person that you don't hear a peep of until, in fact, you don't even know if they're still alive until you reach over and take their pulse. that person is still feeling the same amount of emotions at the same levels as your other friend that's very expressive. The only difference is the one is not letting it out. The one is not expressing like the other. Same thing, same power, same feelings. Okay. Now, in our study of emotions, we have to remember and trust that desensitizing, the dulling of our senses to real life events, and resensitizing, learning how to enhance our sensitivities to real life, is very real. Okay. Now, that's something that we really need to understand about emotions, that they can be desensitized or they can be brought back to life. Now, whatever has happened to us in the past, we can overcome and change the way we feel about that or in that certain area. Listen, folks, time does heal. Okay. Time does heal. Over time, with some added focus, we can change the way we think. And if we change the way we think, that will change what we believe, and that will also change how we feel. So knowing that this is true opens the door to what psychology calls behavior modification. We will learn how to control the beast in the basement. And when we accomplish this by learning behavior modification, you may notice that the power of understanding runs throughout our entire journey. Without it, we do not have much to go on. Now, to give us some insight into how our monster in the basement works, quote unquote, emotions, we need a broad understanding of how the human mind works. So there are two general types of brain functions. The mind, two functions of the mind. It's the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. All right. Now our conscious mind is the aware part of our mind. It's the operational area of our mind. It's the knowing section of the brain. The conscious mind knows things immediately. It stores thoughts. It stores memories, facts, figures, dates, times, people involved in a very, very organized manner. Okay. It's like a file cabinet. If you pull the file cabinet drawer open, all the file folders are in their sleeves. They're suspended file folders. Everybody's got tabs. I mean, the tabs are running side by side throughout the file drawer, and there's nice labels that are all neatly printed, and it's alphabetized, and everything in the folder is very neat, put in there, no wrinkles, nothing sticking up out of the folders. And in fact, if you even open the folder itself, the papers in there are somewhat alphabetized, organized, maybe paper clipped together, things like that. Very neat, very clean, very organized. That is the conscious mind. We've got to make sure everything is in order. So to illustrate this further, if I would spend the night at a friend's house, I've never been there before, or I might have been stepped in the front door and just in the living room, but I'm there, and in the middle of the night, I've got to use the restroom. I'm going to be very hesitant to get up in the middle of the night and try to navigate through the house over to the bathroom with all the lights off, because I don't know the house. I don't know where the couch is, where the coffee table is, without seeing it. And so I'm probably going to bump into something. I may trip over something because my conscious mind doesn't have those placements in my mind. Now, in my house, when I get up to go use the bathroom in the middle of the night, I don't need one light on. I can navigate straight through my bedroom and into my bathroom without really touching a thing. Why? Because my conscious mind knows exactly where the bed is, knows exactly where the dresser is, knows exactly where the chair is in our room. And so I can navigate without lights. Why? Because of the operation of the conscious mind. It's very powerful, very clean, very organized. Understand this. I could stand on a factory line and my hands can be doing something on the conveyor belt, putting parts together as it goes by. But yet the guy next to me or beside me, I can be having a conversation with that person about a baseball game or what's happening in our world today and not interrupt the flow of my hands. Why? Because my subconscious mind knows what the left hand needs to do, what the right hand needs to do, what part needs to go where or whatever in the assembly line, while the other part of my mind is having a conversation of how the St. Louis Cardinal baseball team beat the Texas Rangers in the World Series. Okay, when we come back from a little break, we're going to talk about the subconscious mind. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back, and we're very thankful again that you're here today with us on the True North Nation podcast. And again, I hope you do go to Amazon and pick up a copy of Control the Beast. I promise you it'll bless you, and pass it along to somebody else. So we just finished up before our break to talk about the conscious mind. Now we're going to move into the subconscious. We're talking about how the beast works. We're talking about the mechanics of emotions. Now, the subconscious mind is an absolute, total different animal than that of the conscious mind. It's very different. It's the underlying part of our mind. Have you ever heard someone say, somewhere in the back of my mind, I remember this and that? That's the subconscious mind at work. The subconscious mind is where all the baggage is stored, the feelings, the emotions that are attached to events, childhood events, stored up right there. The subconscious mind stores an emotion where you've snuffed it out, you've put it away, you forgot about it, tried to forget about it, and then all of a sudden somebody does something, hits a trigger, and kaboom, that emotion and that event, the abuse situation, whatever, comes flying to the front and you react. That's the subconscious mind. Pull the file cabinet drawer open like we use as an example to the conscious mind, and it is an absolute opposite. There is no rhyme or reason to what's in that drawer. The file drawer or the file folders are all a mess. It's not alphabetized. Papers are sticking up out of the file folders. The tabs are all out of order. In fact, there's probably, if you open up a file in the subconscious mind file folder or file drawer, probably papers are missing. There's files missing. So it's not clean. It's not neat. It's thrown in. There is no rhyme or reason to it. It's just messy. So when we understand the conscious versus the subconscious and the emotions that are attached to events are stored in the subconscious mind, that's key in helping us become better people. There are things that are stored there that we're not even aware that you have stored there or learned. A learned negative behavior, perhaps, is in that messy file cabinet drawer of the subconscious mind. Emotions often arise out of the subconscious. Comes out of nowhere, as I mentioned before. Somebody hits something, somebody triggers something, somebody says something, and kaboom, we react and can't figure out why we're reacting, because somebody opened the file drawer of the subconscious mind. Now we understand how this works. We understand the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind. We understand that the conscious mind is facts, figures, dates, perhaps events that have data attached to them. It's very organized, very clean, very alphabetized, and it helps us function, do two things at one time or at the same time. Subconscious, absolutely opposite, messy, disorganized, perhaps dysfunctional, if I can use that phrase. That's what it is. So now that we understand that, how are we going to fix the negative act. Okay, let me use a for instance. For instance, somebody says mashed potatoes to me, and I just fly into outer space and punch the guy. And they're like, "What? What? Why did you punch that guy?" Because he said mashed potatoes. Well, how am I going to fix that? How am I going to fix? I can't just not punch the person, because if they hit the trigger, if they poke the bear, you're going to get a reaction. So how do I stop that? How do I fix that? Well, you've got to work backwards. Okay. You're not going to just stop cussing or stop reacting negative. You've got to figure out where it's coming from. You got to go back and figure it out. So we need to locate the emotion attached to the punching or yelling at somebody. What did I feel when they said mashed potatoes? What was I feeling at that moment? What's the emotion? Anger, scared, fear, pain, hurt. Once we find the feeling, then we have the daunting task of looking through the messy file drawer of the subconscious mind and locate where that emotion rose from. In other words, we take a step back again to find out not just what the emotion is, but the location of that emotion, or what was it attached to? Was it attached to a traumatic event, a painful event, a moment in our life where it was not pleasant? So what event happened to produce the intense motion is the question that has to be answered. Then the next step is, who said something back in your past that caused such a memorable pain? And now from there, what incident occurred that you suppressed for years? See how you're taking the punch or the yelling match, and you just keep stepping back because you're going to locate where the root of the problem is. Mushrooms grow in your front yard, but you can't just knock the mushroom off, because the next morning you're going to come out and it's going to be in your front yard. You got to get to the root to get rid of the mushrooms. And that could be difficult because mushrooms, roots are thread-like and can cover a square acre. So challenging sometimes. Now, once you answer these questions, you can start the purging process and heal your mind, your soul, and your spirit. Mainly, forgiveness has to be given or received. Some kind of settlement has to be in place or acquired. Okay. So again, remember, emotions are mental in origin and physical in implementation. It's necessary to recognize the biology of emotions, not just the mechanics, but the biology of emotions. Now, we just discussed last week potential triggers, stimulators. And I know we're verbal. We're not on YouTube and you're seeing me, and I could put a slide on the screen, but let me rehearse the list. 1, pornography. 2, violent television program videos, magazine full of disrespect, harsh language in the home, professional wrestling, violent, aggressive, disrespectful, perhaps music. Now look at the list, listen to the list. Pornography, violent TV, magazines, harsh language, professional wrestling, violent or aggressive or disrespectful music. Did you notice anything in that list that may sound familiar with the list of emotional triggers? I'll tell you what it is. 4 of the 6 triggers are visual. Pornography, violent television, magazines, professional wrestling. 4 of the 6 triggers, main triggers that are out there, are visual. Okay. Advertisement is not valuable unless it fills an emotion. Okay. Your ratings on Facebook or whatever, your visual attaches. You don't go anywhere unless you post a picture. When you're on social media, it's not just words anymore. You got to have some kind of graphic, some kind of picture, some kind of video. And it has to invoke an emotion, a buy-in. What's so sexy about a carton of milk? But yet there's this beautiful woman or man with a milk mustache. So people will go out and buy milk. Here in the Dallas area, there's really nothing sexy about teeth. I don't care how white they are, how perfect they are. There's nothing really sexy about teeth. But yet in Dallas, there's billboards. We make sexy teeth. That stuff sells. It's visual. There's a beautiful person on the billboard. In St. Louis, where I'm from, where they have billboards all over the city at the start of hockey season. Years ago, they did the campaign with the logo and everything and said, "We bleed blue" for the St. Louis Blues hockey team. So again, it's dialing in an emotion. Active learning comes from visuals in the classroom. And of course, we recall a picture is worth 1,000 words. So it's a known fact with increased visual exposure comes either a deadening or a desensitizing of emotions. If you see excessive blood and guts and, it doesn't bother the doctor or the nurse. That's because they live in it every day. The divorce rate among law enforcement, unfortunately, is very, very high because they deal with quote unquote junk daily. And people are crying, people are getting shot, all kinds of stuff. And so they've got to desensitize their emotions or they will not make it for a 12-hour shift on the job. The problem is they carry that home and they've got to flip the switch again so that they can feel their emotions to their family. That's why divorce rate is so high among law enforcement. Our society really is experiencing a loss of emotional sensitivity due to the subconscious hardening of our emotions because we don't want to think about it. We don't want to deal with it. So therefore, we're going to flip the switch off and not feel it. And at this point, for us to survive, we have to have emotional sensitivity, and that has to be restored. That's what this book really is all about. We must purposely realize we need to produce positive emotions to counteract the negative emotions that are in our lives. And so again, if we were in a room together, I would give you an exercise, say, in 1 second, give me a positive emotion. You will stumble. Most people do. They'll stumble, happiness. And then if I go around the room, I say, in 1 second, give me a negative emotion. Pow, 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 pow. They pop that. Why? Because our society has desensitized our emotions, has caused us to gravitate toward negative versus positive. That's why it's our job to promote and to produce positive emotions in our lives. That's all we got time for this week at True North Nation Podcast. Again, thank you for joining us here. I'm so excited that you're a part of this community. Go to our website, sign up for our email list. We've got some great things coming down the pipe. Another book, Heal America 714. We've got our online learning course that we are developing, and it's coming along really good. Check our website on its progress that you could go in and take class with me and then schedule a one-on-one coaching call. So it's great things are coming. God bless. Talk next week.
To find out more about finding that true destination, visit us at truenorthdfw.org.